Hey guys, this is Breezy from Taste Creators Music Business How To, and I am here with the man, Z himself from Audiomack and DJBooth. And Z is just an awesome guy. We never met in person. I don't even know how we met. We probably just connected on Twitter or something, or through Donna or Yo, and we built a cool relationship. And you just drop, so many gems on the internet, especially on Twitter, and you get a lot of backlash for it. But you say some really amazing stuff that most people don't want to talk about or just don't care to talk about. So I wanted to just, have this conversation. I'm all about giving knowledge to these artists out here. So that's what I'm here to do today. Want them to get to know you a little bit more and your background, because they need to see why you're qualified to give this information,
That's fair.
Yeah. And I just want to ask you about some of the things that you tweet about.
Okay.
So,
well, thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Thank you for doing this. This is great. This is awesome. I'm excited. Let me just pull up my notes here. So, briefly, just who are you? How did you even get here? And what does a day in the life, what's this cool rapper shit that you do on the daily? I already know that 30 minutes a day is spent finding contact info.
So you definitely follow me on Twitter.
Yes.
Yes. So, my name is Brian Zisuk. Everyone on the internet knows me as Z. The reason for that is quite simple. I did college radio for 4 years, and I was using my full name, and everyone kept butchering my last name. They would add in letters that didn't exist in my last name. So yeah, I just wanted to make it simple for everyone. It's not that hard to pronounce my last name. It's Zisuk. That said, it's really, really easy to just remember a letter, yes, especially when that letter is the last letter of the alphabet. Yes. So I shortened it to Z to make it easier on everybody. Did college radio for 4 years. I won some Illinois Broadcasters Association awards. I got nominated for some national radio awards. I thought what I wanted to do with the rest of my life was work in radio. I got a degree in broadcast journalism. I got a job right out of college as a morning show producer. For those who are unaware, that's 4 a.m. to noon every day, up at 3 a.m., out the door at 3:30.
What school did you go to?
Illinois State University.
Oh, okay.
Redbirds. If anyone's curious, that's when I started going bald, was working morning radio. The hair it left my head and it never came back.
The music industry will do that to you.
It really will. At the time, DJBooth was a hobby. I had met my business partner, Dave Mackley, while I was still in school. He and I both DJ'd in college. And, they told you when you were trying to get a job in radio or any broadcasting field that you needed to struggle, that you needed to sleep in the backseat of your car and, eat baked beans and be miserable. And I was fortunate enough to get that first radio job in Chicago, which is the #3 radio market in the country. And after 8 months, it wasn't working. And the only way I would have been able to stay in that field was to move to a smaller market. I honestly didn't want to leave Chicago. I didn't want to move away from my friends and my family. And so I put all of my eggs, so to speak, in the DJ booth basket. I just decided, rather than trying to make this radio dream come true, let's see what I can do on my own. And I'll be honest, at the time, I was always thinking DJ Booth would be that next step toward another radio opportunity. Until years later, I realized I didn't need to keep looking for another opportunity. The DJ Booth was the thing. So obviously, I've been doing that for 17 years. DJ Booth, as you mentioned in the open, I co-own the company. It's independent music publication, and then Audiomack, sister platform to DJ Booth. I also am a co-owner of that platform that launched in 2012.
That's
basically
crazy. Around for so long, and it's just
I know I feel extremely old. Thank you for the reminder.
Hey, I'm old too, man.
No, it's all good. With age comes wisdom, or at least that's what they say. So yeah, look, I've been doing this for quite a long time. So for those who are like, why the fuck should I listen to anything he has to say? Well, to that I would say, you don't have to listen to anything I have to say. You're welcome to mute me, block me, ignore me, etc. But I have picked up a few things over the past 15 plus years.
For sure, man. So like, what are your typical duties when it comes to like DJBooth and Audiomack? Like, what are you out here doing aside from looking for people's contact info?
So first of all, I have a 3-year-old daughter at home. And so her sleep schedule typically dictates how early I am up in the morning and how late I go to bed at night. But other than that, the majority of my day is spent on my work as the VP of Content Operations and Artist Services for Audiomack. And so my department's job is to liaise with all the independent creators, label and distribution partners who work with us at Audiomack. And so all the content that is distributed to us that you see on the platform in trending, in playlists, supported on social, that's all going through my department. And so we have daily and weekly calls with all of our label and distribution partners. So, you know, we have a licensing agreement with Warner. Warner has a million subsidiaries: Warner Records, Atlantic, Asylum, ADA. So we constantly are communicating with all of them. The same for the other major labels and all of our larger independent distribution companies like Empire, Foundation, Vidya, M Theory, etc. So it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of emails. It's a lot of phone calls. When there isn't a pandemic, it's a lot of meetings.
Yep. Meetings and emails, phone calls.
Yeah. That's what and in between all of that, I listen to all the music. So.
Right. So you seem to turn into the spam guy. Well, the scam guy, should I say, on Twitter.
Spam, scam, schemes, all of it.
All that stuff. Everybody's tweeting you like, is this real? With a screenshot of an email. Did you just do that by default? Like, because you really just turned into like, is this a scam guy?
Yeah, I'm the to catch a scammer guy.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been an open book. My contact information is everywhere. I put my email address in my bio. My email address.
Flooded. People still tweet you like, what's your email?
You have no idea. My email address is on the platforms that I co-own. I've never made it a secret how to get a hold of me. And I think people appreciate not that I'm accessible, but that I'm responsive. And the reason for that is simple. When I was coming up, I had no one to rely on. I was trying to figure out everything on my own as I went. And I always felt like, while obviously things turned out okay, I could have benefited from others being available to me, being able to answer questions, advise me. And so I'm just trying to pay it back and try to pay it forward. And you know, it's legitimately frightening. There's been such change at such a rapid pace in the fields that we work in. So the overlapping music and tech sector. And so many artists feel like they figure it out. And then the second that they think they figured it out, what they have to realize is you need to unlearn everything that you just figured out, because that's how quickly things are moving. Yeah. The difference between me and an artist is it's my job literally to be on the front lines and to know about all these things as they're happening. And so there's no sense in me harboring this information. If I want these artists to entrust Audiomack and DJBooth as companies and brands that they want to be featured on, that they want to work with, that they want to be associated with. So my work on Twitter is just an extension of all of that. So I wanted to talk about, because there's been so many artists, and I've had to like stop a few of them, and this is recently where, and you've seen it because you've talked about it, but they're so excited because they're like, Fat Joe or like this big artist just DM'd me. And like, I had to stop a few people like that because I was following those artists and I'm like, wait a minute. No, I'm sliding in their DMs like, wait, no, don't pay for that. And like the fans are falling for it too, because these artists are tweeting like, hey, who's the hottest out? Like, who should I be paying attention to? So the fans are like tagging their favorite artists in all these posts, not realizing, wait a minute, this is actually not a thing. So I would love for you to kind of break that down of like,
what is this whole mixtape scam, and why is it a scam in the first place? You know, and yeah, let's just talk about that a little bit, because so many people are falling for it, and it's really sad.
It's frustrating. It's maddening. I tried to illuminate the situation a few months ago on social media because, like you said, artists are constantly coming to me as well and saying, "Hey, here's a screenshot of this conversation that I'm having." Doesn't even have to necessarily be with a recording artist. Could be with someone posing as an A&R or a record executive, claiming that they want to work with me, sign me, fly me to New York, put me on their album, put me on their mixtape. Essentially, all of these scams, all of these schemes, you can call it whatever you want, they're all the same. They are all attempting to lure you in, you meaning the artist, with dream fulfillment.
Yep.
Artists know how hard, established artists know how hard it is to make a career out of music. It's very difficult. And they're essentially using the fandom that they know that these aspiring artists have in them to essentially make money off of their goodwill.
And it's crazy
so,
because, like, as being that big artist, knowing how hard it is to have a career in music, you would think that you would want to, like, help the up and coming artist. Do you think that maybe some of these bigger artists think that they're helping by doing it? No, you think they know what they're doing? Like, I'm just trying to get something in really quick.
Let me be very clear. I don't think I 100% know. I have had multiple conversations with several of the artists who have been a part of this tag an artist scheme. I've talked to several managers and publicists who represent some of these artists, that they are their clients. And to a man, they have all been fairly open about what their roles are in association with the company that has masterminded this get on our mixtape plot.
The Block something?
The Block 365 is the name of the company. Look, the reality is the pandemic hit everybody very difficult in the music industry. And a lot of these artists who, they don't make very much money off of streaming, there's a tremendous reliance on getting out on the road, performing live, and selling merch. Those avenues have been cut off because no one's touring, no one is performing.
Don't you think they would do, like, maybe more online merch drops or something, or, you know, like,
some artists just don't have the smoke. I mean, some artists, the bulk of their merchandise sales come when they're out on the road and they already have people in the venue and it's cash in hand. Because there's also a greater expense when you're doing strictly merch on a digital level, where you're responsible for mailing everything out, as opposed to having all the product in hand and you're only selling what you have in stock that date on the road. Some artists just also don't have the type of fans who are interested in spending $60 for a t-shirt that's not associated with the experience of seeing them live in concert. And so there are, as many an astute rapper has said in the past, there are levels to this shit.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of these artists, they're struggling, and this mixtape scheme has represented an opportunity to make some money, and they've done very well for themselves. These largely morally bankrupt artists.
So many artists that I know fell for that shit.
Yeah, it's maddening. It really is.
So what should they do? You know what I mean? Like, what are some other common scams, I guess? And, like, what should they just not pay for? Pretty much. Like, what should artists shy away from?
Well, if you're an artist at the stage of your career where you're going to succumb to any of these schemes, then the only thing that you should be investing in at that point is yourself. And someone watching is probably going, all right, well, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Great question. Let me answer for you. You should be making sure that the actual music sounds great. So pay an engineer to mix it. And if you have extra cash and the person knows what they're doing, have it mastered as well.
Yeah, or
If
I
someone's
can get the mastering guy, but yeah, definitely get your music mastered.
if someone's first experience with your music is unpleasurable because it just sonically it sounds like ass, you risk losing them from staying with you.
Yep.
There's just too many options. That's first. Second, no one cares if you have great music if no one knows that you're an artist and that you make music. And so you want to invest in digital marketing. So people always ask.
That's what I wanted to touch on too.
People are like, all right, what is digital marketing and what isn't digital marketing? Another excellent question, and I would be happy to answer that question. So digital marketing means a website. Digital marketing means social media management. Digital marketing means ads that you run on YouTube or other social media like Twitter and Instagram. Digital marketing means video assets and new photos to coincide with the release of your album. Digital marketing, a lot of it can be done on the cheap or by yourself, learned for free. People hear digital marketing, they think, well, I don't have thousands of dollars to spend. But you know what? That same money, you're flushing it down the drain by paying someone else to add you to a mixtape on SoundCloud that no one's listening to.
Yeah, so put that $500-600 that they're charging you into ads, you're gonna get way more results.
And on that note, I think it's important to point out, you have to know what you expect from a campaign. And so when you invest, let's say $500 into a marketing campaign and you're gonna run ads on Instagram or on YouTube, the goal at that point in your career was such a small budget. And I understand for someone watching, $500 to them might be a significant budget, but in the grand scheme of the music marketing world, it's small. And so for you, it's best to look at that $500 is, I'm spending this to create awareness that I exist. The goal shouldn't be to spend $500 and think you're going to make back $500 worth of streaming revenue. That's not going to happen. The point is that you keep hitting people over and over and over a series of weeks or months, and they keep seeing your name over and over. And then the
marketing team that's constantly reaching new people for you.
Constantly. And the hope is that one day someone has seen your name enough times over enough platforms, and they think to themselves, I'm going to check out this artist.
Guy out,
yeah. And they might hate your shit. Like that's probably going to happen. But that's the conversion you're looking for. And if you measure the success of a marketing campaign on instant reaction based on money spent, it's always going to be an L, 100 times out of 100.
Yep. And so another thing that I see, and I've seen you talk about it a few times, is like paying to get on playlists. You know, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Don't do it. All right.
People hit up about that all the time. They always hit up taste creators, and then I get on the phone with them and I'm like, you don't need this at all. But go ahead.
So first, let's talk about the platforms. Written into the terms of service or the service agreement that you digitally sign when you set up an account, or your distributor sets up an account on your behalf, you essentially agree to not pay for playlists or pay to be on a playlist or artificially enhance or manipulate stream totals or engagement metrics. The platforms are getting smart. They know when the phony baloney shit's going on. And so I can't speak on any other platform, but I'll speak on the one that I work at. On Audiomack, if you're caught juicing, which means you're caught artificially manipulating your stream total, it's very easy for us to see where the streams are coming from, whether they're humans or not. And you can be deplatformed, meaning your entire catalog, your profile can be removed from the platform. So that by itself, that should be enough to scare people away. If it's not, and you're willing to take that risk, it's not smart to pay for the playlists because they don't actually convert anyone into becoming a fan. People who listen to playlists are listening passively, not actively, which means they press play, whatever's on the playlist plays in the background. They're not actively looking for artist discovery. And so the likelihood that someone comes across your work in a playlist and then decides to hit your artist's name, go to your artist profile, follow or like you, slim to none. It's just the percent. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're low.
No, it
And
is.
so that's what you're facing. You're facing the idea of spending money for plays, but those plays potentially not turning into fans, and that should be your only concern.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like, if you, just like you said, they're passive listeners, right? So regardless if you get on playlists, because I do understand where the artists are coming from. Like, it's true, if your song gets on a legit playlist with real listeners, your streams are going to go up, and it could help out, you know. But the thing is, if you don't have a strategy on your own where you're retaining those fans and posting content and, you know, being active on socials and like really interacting with your audience, then you're going to have a lot of streams and no fans. And artists come to Taste Creators with that all the time. They're like, well, hey, I just paid, you know, to get on all these playlists, and now my song did 100K, but like, then you look at their Instagram and their Twitter and they have less than 1,000 followers. And they're like, well, I don't know what's going wrong here. And I'm like, well, what's going wrong is you're trying to throw money at a situation. Like, you're just trying to throw money at it and hoping that something's going to come out of it, when you're missing all of the groundwork, the foundational things that actually matter. But
throwing money at a particular campaign for an album release or a song release is not something that I'm saying is silly. It's how you're throwing money at it, where the money is going. I've had numerous artists say, well, you know, I thought the old adage is, you know, you need to invest in yourself. Yeah, but where are you investing the money? And then I've had other artists come to me and say, well, I thought, you know, in order to make money, you need to spend money. Yeah, that's true also. But again,
you got to make sure you spend it on the right thing.
Money? Yeah. Yeah. So no verified or authenticated or platform sponsored playlist is allowing any pay for play. And so we're largely talking about playlisters who have curated a following on a particular platform, who are offering up these opportunities. I know we're going back to earlier in our conversation, we're talking about the dream fulfillment, the pipe dream that if you get on the right playlist and you get noticed by the right A&R or the right booking agent, boom, you're going to take off. Let me tell you how that's going to go. They're going to see you on the playlist and they're going to go, oh shit, this song has 400,000 streams and it was just added yesterday. That's incredible. Then they're going to do some legwork and they're going to Google you and they're going to find your social media and they're going to see that you have a couple hundred followers and they're going to go, yeah, this is not good. If you're a booking agent, you're not going to get booked because hard ticket sales are all that matters in that world, and they're not going to believe that you can sell out a 150 person cap room. If you're an A&R, you might be attracted to the idea of a lot of streams. You'll probably cross-reference the numbers on TikTok and Spotify and Audiomack to see whether or not there's some consistency. Obviously, a huge red flag is when a song is doing very well on one platform and has next to no streams everywhere else. And so, yeah, if you're going to cheat, you got to cheat across every platform. So that initial $500 is going to turn into $3,000 fairly quickly. Yeah, again, it's silly because it's short-sighted. I'm going to put it like this. If you believe that you have a future in music, and by future, I mean years, like you believe in your talent, you believe that you're more than a flash in the pan, you're not trying to just generate hype based on a current style or sound or trend. If you think you're long for a career in this and you're serious about music, play the long game. Don't throw money at songs hoping that one of them takes off. On the flip side, if you know that what you're doing is just following a trend that's popular right now, by all means, throw the money. Hopefully you can make some back. But that requires you to be honest with yourself. And a lot of artists have too many yes men in their corner who keep telling them, you're going to be the next star. It's so hard to become a star. That's why there's so few stars.
Being a star nowadays. It's like, you know, there's so many artists. A lot of artists don't realize that fame is one part of it, right? But you can actually have a pretty sustainable music career without fame. There's plenty of artists around the world that they've built up that core following, You know, they have 20 to 30,000 people that just fuck with them, and they buy their merch, they buy their show tickets. You know, it's like, do you want to be famous, or do you want to make money doing what you love? You have to, you know, they don't always equal out.
What you're talking about, Bree, is the middle class artist, and there's nothing sexy about being a middle class artist. But the truth is that to be a middle class artist means that you don't need a second or a third job to support your life and your career.
Yeah.
Being a middle class artist means that that is your job. You're able to wake up every day knowing that the goal for that day is to make and market music. And just like with the United States economy, there is a shrinking middle class. We live in an economy of rich and poor. And so either you're a struggling, starving artist, or you're a megastar who can do arena tours. But the truth is that there's an opportunity for a lot of folks to be in the middle comfortably.
Yep.
But you have to be able to say to yourself, I'm fine with this. I'm fine with being able to just make music and that be my profession. Because if you spend all day scrolling Instagram, trying to be who you see in those posts, aspiring to be the star and never get there, to you, that's going to feel like failure.
Yeah.
But to someone who's on the other end, who's the struggling, starving artist, if you could give them a career in music today, but you told them that they could never become a star, they take it in a heartbeat.
Yep. I mean, that's what I try to do with Taste Creators and Music Business How To. It's like, hey, we're not here trying to sell you a dream and turn you into a star. We're trying to help you get your shit together so that way you can run your career like a business and make money doing what you love, because that's what everybody claims they want to do. They want to make music and not have to go clock in at a 9 to 5. So it's like, all right, well, there's certain things that come along with that. And so just like with the playlisting side, you know, this happens with the blog world too. And, you know, just like you said a little while ago, the music industry is always changing. It's always evolving. You know, there's tactics that may have worked 2 years ago or 3 to 5 years ago that don't work today. And, you know, we're not in the blog world, the blog era anymore, you know? So, but there's still every week artists that hit us up and say, hey, how much for blog posts? How much, you know, like, so, or can you get me a premiere? So I know you tweeted like premieres are dead. I know when I did the artist development program and I had Donna come out, she said the same thing. And I agree. I often think that artists, they just, you know, they like to see their name in lights. So if a blog says, hey, this person just dropped a song or a video or an album, you know, here's a premiere, they're happy with that. But can you elaborate on, you know, what you mean by premieres are dead?
Well, first of all, shout out to Donna, who I've worked with for years now, and I'm happy to know that our brains are fully aligned. Yeah, so premieres were great back in the day. The whole idea of a premiere on a website or blog was sexy at one time because a website had the ability to pull people in as the only place to hear or watch something with written accompaniment.
Yeah, so let's start there. Like, for those who don't know, like, what is a premiere?
A premiere is simply a platform that has been given the opportunity by an artist or their team to exclusively release a piece of audible or visual content first, ahead of every other platform. But that's not possible anymore because, for instance, let's say you wanted to release your video on YouTube, which is where 99% of the artistic community releases their videos. Mm-hmm. So it's on YouTube, and then it's also on your website, but it's on YouTube. So it's not exclusive. And so as soon as it's live, even if you have an unlisted link, it's also on YouTube. So the idea that it's only in one place is silly. Plus, if you're an artist, you don't want to push everyone to one place to watch or stream something. You want to make your product available in every location that people are watching and streaming. It's, you know, let's take a food beverage company, right? It would make no sense to have their product only in one grocery store. They're going to go out of business. You want to make sure that everyone who sells that product, even if they're not a grocery store, if they're a convenience store, if they're a corner bodega, if they're Home Depot and they have a little food area, anywhere that could possibly sell my product where people are, that's where I want my product to be. And so in 2020, that's got to be the mission. Whereas 2008 to 2012, the height of the blog era,
Cool, yeah.
it was a different landscape.
Yeah.
You know, YouTube was cat videos. There was no Audiomack. Spotify wasn't created, nor did it come to the US. You know, Apple Music was Beats Music, and it was a twinkle in the eye of Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. Like we've just come such a long way. And so I think your assessment is spot on. I know why artists like the idea of blog posts and premieres. It's because who doesn't like to see their work be highlighted?
Yeah.
Everybody likes when people say nice things about them. But first, there's very little value in it besides just being able to brag on social media and get, you know, a quick dopamine hit. Beyond that, though, it doesn't make sense for the publication because the publication has to pay someone to cover the material. And speaking strictly in terms of numbers, there is 0.00% chance that a publication will ever make their money back, the money that they paid the writer to create that story, for a video or Audible premiere in advertising revenue off of page views. It's just never happening. So that's what we would call a loss leader. We would hope to make it back over time based on the awareness that the premiere would create on social media. But in today's day and age, it wouldn't create much awareness. And so there's zero advantage there too.
Yeah, I mean, I ask artists all the time that approach me for PR, and I'm like, so when's the last time you clicked on a random blog post that was that you saw that said, hey, so-and-so artist just dropped a song? And they're like, oh shit, like I haven't clicked on any of those actually. I'm like, so why do you want that then? And they're like, oh shit, I never thought of it that way. It's like, come on, man, retrain your brain. That's not what you need. And even as far as like PR campaigns, it's like, okay, you know, and I you know, big up to you guys. DJBooth has done an amazing job at just keeping up with the times. You know, you're one of the biggest outlets that has been able to stick around for all these years. And but like, it's so much more effective if because another thing that the artists, like, they often run into is like, okay, so somebody writes a little press release and then they send it out in an email blast, and now you have these other random outlets just copying and pasting the same thing everywhere. And I'm like, you can't even use that as like reputable press. Like there's no quote that I can take from this. They didn't tell your story. They're like, I don't have any real information about you. It's like, it's not special. So, you know, can we talk a little bit about the importance of telling your story as an artist, you know, and like having that bio? Because
yeah, I mean, I've been harping on this for years now. It doesn't matter how good the music is anymore. Like, it pains me to say that, and it might offend some creatives who, you know, feel so strongly about their music, but the music is only half the equation. What really matters right now is whether or not you have a story to tell that can marry the authenticity that you bring as an artist with the music. And so you have to be believable. And you might be able to fake the funk for a while. You might be able to lead people into your circle under the illusion that you're someone who you're not as an artist. But the consumer is very rarely ever fooled for long. And so you might be able to get away with it for some time, but over the long haul, these people are going to drop off. There's simply too many artists. There are too many on-demand entertainment options. The loyalty that artists once saw in their consumer base has dwindled considerably over time. That's because artists are not only competing with other artists for free time of the consumer, they're also competing with on-demand video and social media, politics, porn, like the list goes on, right? And so, yeah, in a nutshell, don't pay for blog posts, develop a story, work that story, and have that be who you are on social media, but also who you are in your music. I told someone the other day, what happens now is artists develop these large followings on social media because they're outspoken or they say outrageous shit. But a lot of people don't even know that they're artists.
Yeah.
They're just following them because they find them intriguing or funny or charismatic. And they only come to learn later on when you have something to drop. Oh, I didn't even know this person makes music. That's wonderful. And so you got to marry the two. The social media personality should be reflective of the music you make, your outlook on life, etc. And I know, like, I'm not an artist. It's really easy for me to say all of this. It's a lot harder in practice, but hopefully someone can take something away from what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it kind of leads into my next and possibly last thing I wanted to talk about was content. Because I did see you tweet about, well, somebody tweeted about, like, I forget who it was, and it was like pretty recent. I think it was the other day. They said, I wish rollouts would be longer, like back in the day. And you were like, no. Now, I want to hear your take on this because I have a take on it as well. And sometimes I like to pit, like, I can see both sides per se. So why do you feel rollouts should just not be longer than 2 weeks?
Okay, well, first of all, rollouts, I look at a rollout as both a plan for prior to a release and following a release. So, like, that's the whole rollout strategy. The actual rollout is in the middle of it.
Gotcha.
The pre-release used to be a 3 or 4 month ramp up. So I don't know if a lot of our viewers here recall, but labels used to take out full page ads in Double XL and The Source magazine, teasing an album that was coming out in like the next season. Okay. And that would get people excited. Those days are dead, right? Long gone, both the hard copy magazines and full page ads in them. We now live in an attention economy, like I said before. And as a result, you need to be able to capture a person's attention when you have it. And so the idea that you would tease a project, an album, an EP, a single, and then not deliver on that tease for weeks or months, whatever excitement people have when they first find out is going to dwindle away to nothing. And you're going to have to continue to beat them over the head constantly to the point where they might even get annoyed and they don't even want to listen anymore up until that point. So my philosophy is simple. Make your announcement, have several pieces of marketing ready to go. What's up to your cat? Have several pieces of marketing ready to go between the announcement and the actual release, 2 weeks or less. Do some press if you're lucky enough to get it. And then have all of your eggs in the post-release basket. So videos to accompany several of the focus tracks or standout singles, a contest, a viral challenge, Instagram takeover, more press. You want to point back to the album at that point because it's out.
Yeah.
So now every time you capture someone's attention, you can actually get them to activate. So, oh my God, I have your attention. By the way, album's out right now. You don't have to remember to listen a month from now.
Gotcha. Because see, my whole thing is like, so are you including, because usually when an artist drops a project, Aladdin, what are you doing, bro? Usually when an artist drops a project, right before it, they drop at least like a single or a video, right? Or sometimes a few singles. So are you saying that like, that should all happen in a span of 2 weeks? Or like?
So the idea of like single release, video release, album, scheduling these releases in this coordinated fashion is to harken back to the days when you needed to get all your ducks in a row because you needed to send the masters off to the press and you had to get CDs manufactured and distributed and stocked on shelves. Like those days are dead. And so my philosophy is release a record if you're unsure whether or not you feel strongly about it. If the reception is great, immediately accompany it with the announcement that the album's on the way. Obviously, the music is a marketing tool, but it can't be your only marketing tool. The music, like we said before, is only half of the battle here. Again, if someone hears something that they love and you've captured their attention, behaviorally speaking, the next thing they're going to do is they're going to see what else you've released.
Yep.
And so let's say you haven't released anything in a year and then you just released a brand new record and it's off of a project. Yeah, it's great. You're going to get them excited to hear the whole thing. But wouldn't it be better if they heard the record and then, oh my God, the whole thing is available immediately? Yeah. I mean, this is why binge culture. Yeah, this is why binge culture is undeniable on on-demand video platforms. The idea that everything is available at once. And if you reach the point in your career where you're a huge star, I'm of the mindset, don't release any material pre-release. Get people excited to hear the whole thing at once at the same time. Beyonce's done this for years. Kendrick Lamar has done this. Just drop the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Make it an event.
I guess. So well, I mean, this is along the lines of content, right? And I think you said something about this on Twitter the other day too, but a lot of the times artists, they're looking to, they have a project that they want to release, right? So they basically only, have you ever seen it? And I know you have, where artists pop up on social media only when they're getting ready to promote something. And then they're like gone after that. So like because there's a difference between.
What's up, J. Cole?
There's a difference, but he has a fan base already. You know what I mean? So really, we're talking about like those growing indie artists that are just like, so I wanted to talk about what types of content, because there's rollout content that you use to promote your projects, your releases. And then there's content that's just like engaging, with your audience. And maybe it doesn't have anything to do with your music. So like what types of content, because a lot of times artists get confused, like, wait, isn't all of my content supposed to be about my music? And it's like, well, not necessarily, because then you turn into an ad. So can we get some examples of like, what's some other content that artists can, post to build that anticipation and just in general to grow their audience?
Right. Well, obviously I'm not going to tell anybody what is or isn't content for them to release for their fans. But as far as a suggestion, there's a lot of misinformation that exists on just in general, but also online about the creative process. How do collaborations actually take place? Where is this material being recorded? I think a lot of fans have this grand illusion that all artists record in these, $1 million recording studios with unlimited booze and weed, and that the creative process is a very certain way. I encourage artists to break down those walls and showcase for their fans how the music's actually being made.
Yep.
Show us the space that you're creating it. Have that be part of the rollout. The peek behind the curtain for someone who might not be 100% on board, that might seal the deal for them because there's authenticity to that. And if you've already gotten someone in the fold and they're a super fan, they're gonna eat up this behind the scenes content.
Yep. People are nosy too. People want to see that shit,
They do. And the best part about it is that it's not expensive to produce.
No, you're just
because you're just documenting what you're doing anyways.
Yep.
One thing that people don't view as content, but is valuable on social media, engage in private conversations with your fans. And so if you see the same Twitter handles constantly liking and retweeting and quote tweeting all of your stuff, reach out to them via direct message. Mm-hmm. Share your appreciation for their support.
Yep.
Ask them about themselves. If I'm a fan of, if I'm a fan of an independent artist and that artist reaches out to me personally and privately and just says, hey, thank you so much. Like, tell me more about yourself. I mean, I'm going to scream it from the rooftops. I'm telling everybody that I know how awesome this person is. And then other people will go ahead and check out your music. And if they like it, the same thing is going to happen again.
Yep. Spread that good word of mouth. Like, hey, he's a good person. He thanked me for some shit. People artists don't realize, like, a lot of artists that I meet tend to be like a little socially awkward. They're just like, I just want to hide out in the studio and make these records, but it doesn't work that way,
Not anymore. And I can appreciate the artists who feel that way. I just want to be an artist. But in the streaming age, in the social media age, being a recluse is not your ticket to success. It's just not. People want availability, they want accessibility, they want authenticity. And all three of those things are possible if you directly connect with people. Show them that you're a real person. Yep. They won't forget it. People don't forget that kind of thing.
For sure. So yeah, I mean, this is great, man. I think we covered a whole lot. I think we dropped, a lot of knowledge for them. Uh, I guess last thing, is there anything else that we didn't cover, like, any piece of advice just or knowledge that for an upcoming artist that's trying to grow their fan base? Yeah, what's your last words, I guess, for them?
Be patient. I know it's hard. Patience is not something most of us have in excess. I know that I'm quite often impatient myself. So, I'm something about rocks and a glass house and all of that. So it might not be the best advice coming from me, but in general, going back to what we said earlier, you have to assess what type of career you want, if you even want a career in general. And if you want a career, a sustained career, you need to be patient, as hard as that is. And it'll probably be easier if you get off of social media beyond just using it as a tool to connect with your fans and let them know what you have going on.
Yep.
Because the effect that social media has on all of us, myself included, I know you as well, it's impossible to avoid. It's not healthy, and it affects the music, it affects life itself. So be patient. Don't let others' success be a barometer for where you feel you need to be in your career. You're not running the same race. You're running your own race.
Yep.
And the only way that you'll win is by being patient.
Amazing. I love it, man. This is great. I really, really appreciate you. I know the artists are going to appreciate this. So yeah,
or maybe not, but whatever.
I mean, they should, man. They really should, because not everybody is out here giving this information that, I mean, there's a million people trying to give information, but, not everybody actually has been in the industry for that many years and has worked closely with so many artists and, really gets to see what happens behind the scenes. So, definitely appreciate you for doing this and just for giving knowledge to these artists in general, even though you get a lot of hate on Twitter because of it. But I mean, I know you're definitely helping, for all the hate mail, you're definitely helping a shit ton of people. So like, really appreciate that.
You're welcome. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, man. Have a good one.
Bye.